Hello everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video and another lovely spring day here in Northern England. In this video, I'm going to continue talking about what I did yesterday. So yesterday's video wasn't terribly well viewed. I'm not sure whether people didn't get a notification for it or what, but it seems that some people missed it. Please go and watch it, because if you're interested in the Summer Wells case, particularly if you're interested in the lies that Candus has told, then I've laid it all out for you in that video with all the clips, the contradictions, clip by clip, right from the early days all the way up to the more recent. And I've got some commentary on it, so it's well worth your watch. It's one of my better videos. That's just me saying that, but I've laid it all out in that video, so please watch it if you're interested in the lies that Candus has told. But in this video, we're going to look at an interview, an appearance Candus did on Predator Hunter Nation's live stream. She seems to be there all the time now. It's not a channel that I watch, but I have got some clips from that. She was on there for, I don't know, around half an hour. Fair use for commentary, etc, etc. So let's start with the higher ups. She's given us a clue as to who the higher ups are. What do I mean by higher ups? Well, that's the question that we all wanted answering when Candus said on the Glarers live a few days ago that she gave Don's phone to the uppers.
Okay, then I took the phone and I gave it to the uppers. And I have not touched that phone or talked on that phone since.
Okay, you gave it to the who now?
I can't personally say who I gave it to, but I give it to the uppers.
Loads of people speculated on who the uppers were. I speculated a few days ago, saying, are the uppers people from the drug underworld? I was teetering on the verge of going down a big rabbit hole. I managed to hold myself back. But was it the private investigators? And I said, well, how can it be the private investigators? Because they work for you. They do what you want. They're not in control of you, are they? Maybe Don put the private investigators in control of Candus. How can they control Candus? She's a grown-up. However, she doesn't behave like a grown-up. But no, she says it's not the private investigators.
You guys just can't search my property. That's all there is to it. And that comes from a higher up, like a way higher up.
Persons everywhere. Person there. Person down there. But we're going this way. I've got Tilly. She's fine. So, she said...
Donnie owns the property, but I am his wife, so it goes hand in hand.
Is he the higher up that said I couldn't search?
Nope.
He's not?
Nope. I've been told that by a lawyer.
Oh. How did the lawyer know that I was wanting to search a property?
Man, don't you think fucking the lawyers don't watch YouTube, dumbass?
A lawyer has told her not to give permission for Predator Hunter Nation to go to the property. Now, honestly, I don't blame her for this, to be fair. I wouldn't want just random people from the internet, whether they call themselves an organisation or whether they've got teams of people. I still wouldn't want them on my property. Given the sensitivity of the subject, there's possibility that some unscrupulous person, and I'm not saying Predator Hunter Nation would do this, but I'm just saying, in general, I wouldn't want anyone on my property. They might plant evidence, they might mess it up. There's so many reasons why I personally wouldn't want anyone on my property, so don't blame Candus for denying Ernie and whoever access. I'd do the same. But lawyer, really? She's got a lawyer. We know that there is a lawyer involved, you know, on behalf of the boys, because as I keep pointing out, and yes, it gets repetitive, guys, there's many facets to this case. There's cases within a case, so to speak. You've got Summer's disappearance as a case. You've got Don's DUI and probation violation, for which he's in jail, as a case. Sidebar, speculation. People are saying, will Don ever get out of jail? They've given him the maximum they can for his probation violation. Now he can attend rehab after 180 days, but after that, does he go back to jail? I don't know. Is he out on probation after that? I don't know. But they've given the maximum they can to keep him there, and you have to speculate on why. So there's that, and then there's the boys' case, the CPS case, you know, the evidence that they've got. And then, you know, once they've done an investigation and spoken to the boys many, many times, they may or may not press charges relating to child neglect. Will the boys say something that's directly relevant to Summer's disappearance? So they're different cases, but one could well feed into the other. Then you've got the case in Utah, Don's essays that he did, one of which he's admitted to when he was young. Will anything ever come of that? We don't know. The last time Sheriff Lawson spoke to camera, he said the Wells weren't cooperating with law enforcement anymore. Tilly, girl, come here, good girl. They weren't communicating with law enforcement anymore because they got an attorney. Candus and Grandma both denied it. But now Candus is saying there's a lawyer who's a higher up. So is a higher up a lawyer? Does the lawyer have Don's phone? Is the lawyer allowed to have Don's phone? Anybody who knows the law in Tennessee, it doesn't feel right. You know, like, if there's a lawyer representing Candus, are they allowed possession of the phone? How would that work if a case ever went to trial? I don't understand. Now, we know that Candus lies, even though she says she doesn't lie. Come on, guys. Yesterday's video surely tells you different. Anybody who's even had half an eye open regarding this case will know the inconsistencies in her story. She told Ernie and pals the other night that there was no scream.
There was no scream, right?
There's no scream, dude. She's maced all that shit up.
And now she's saying she doesn't know whether there was a scream.
Candace, there was no scream, was there?
I don't know.
You don't know if somebody screamed it?
Because, like, on her side of the mountain, you can hear shit, like, that you can't hear on my side.
You know, it is unsurprising that Don, when he was a free man, he controlled the narrative. Now, I put a YouTube short on my other channel, Michelle Walks, yesterday. Don't know whether any of you saw it, but this is it. This is that, or at least a little bit of it.
They were working up there one day, and Dawn had made the comment to Candus and Grandis that they needed to work on the timeline.
When people were there doing the house up, you know, doing those rails on the stairs and that, Dawn was overheard saying to Candus and Grandma, they better work on the timeline. They're going to get the timeline straight. Now, when was this? This was before Dr. Phil, wasn't it? Because the house had been done up when they were on Dr. Phil. So Dr. Phil was like November. So this would have probably been like October, thereabouts. Why did they need to work on the timeline? You know, like that would have been 4 months or so after Summer disappeared. Why would they still have to work on the timeline after all that time? Because, as I said yesterday, the truth never changes. The truth is a constant. The timeline's the timeline. What did you do that day? That's the timeline. The timeline, it doesn't make sense unless you take out Candus's lies. And if you take out Candus's lies, it makes perfect sense. Or at least a lot more sense. Like I said, I don't blame Candus for not allowing anyone on the property. And any lawyer worth their salt would say that. I want to know if Candus has a lawyer. And if so, what case, which case specifically is that lawyer working on? Is it relating to the CPS case? Is it relating to Summer? Is it relating to Don? And Candus has just had some kind of, I don't know, advice from them? I don't know. I'd love to know. But if that higher up, the upper, really is a lawyer, I am sure they should not have possession of Don's phone. That makes no sense to me. So, you know, Ernie tried his best to get Candus to give permission, and she stood her ground. He asked her some questions though about the property itself, you know, and then she said, I don't know about the property.
So there's no caves back there then, are there?
Not that I'm aware of, no. But then I don't know because I don't go venture off my property. So.
Right. Well, how far have you been back up in there?
Well, I haven't.
Oh, okay. How far did the TBI go back up in there and the law enforcement?
I don't know. That I don't know.
In the next breath, she said, I know all about the property.
But I know I've been all around my property, on my property, and I know damn well there ain't no caves or no tunnels on my property. That I know for a fact.
She says there's no caves, no tunnels, no wells. Where do they get the water from? I mean, I'm not in the US. The vast majority of properties here in the UK, unless you're really, really, really rural, has what we call mains water. So, you know, it comes from a reservoir and it travels down pipes and then you just turn on your tap and there's the water. And we pay a water bill to the water company for water. You'd have to live really, really out in the sticks for not to have mains water these days in the UK. But that rural property there on Ben Hill, haven't we ascertained that has well water? Because wasn't the talk about there being sulphur in the water? Do you remember that conversation? Somebody local would be able to answer this. I think if Jodie Sue's listening, she'd be able to answer this. Are the properties on Ben Hill, are they hooked up to the equivalent of the mains, or do they have a well? And if they've got a well, I'm not saying Summer could be put in a well. I don't think wells today are like the wells you see in fairy tale stories, you know, where you can literally just drop someone down. Candy says there's no well at all. I find that very difficult to believe that there's no well on that property. And that is just a ridiculous thing to lie about. It just gets worse and worse and worse. It really does. And then Ernie asked her about the sheds on the property. Now, as far as I know, there are 3 sheds on the property. And the property, Ernie, if you're listening, is 11.2 acres. There's what Don calls the bottom property, is a shed that people have lived in the past, allegedly. We'll go down our stairs, our little staircase here. Come on this way. It's got little footholds and everything, it's good. Yeah, Don calls that the bottom property. So it's got a field and it's kind of really open to Beach Creek. And you can get down to the bottom property dead easy, down the shallow side of the hill. You know, where the tree trimmers keep those tracks open so that the power lines can go up to the different properties. That's the shallow side of the hill. That's where I would speculate when the kids go to play out. That's the way they go, down to the creek. Yeah, so that's one shed. And Don went down to the creek when he got home And she says she doesn't know whether he went to that shed area in the creek first. Now, I can understand all the days melding into one, as she said. I can understand that, but she really doesn't remember. I mean, Don has told that story so many times. Did Don and Candus never talk? Wouldn't you just know that? That is just weird. That's weird, man. Weird, man, that is. There's other dogs barking over there. You're not getting involved. There's no need for you to get involved whatsoever. Absolutely not. No way. Seems to be somewhat of a standoff there. Come on, this way. No idea what they're doing over there. Not at all. So then you've got the little shed, the little white shed, that's very close to the house. That's the one that Chris McDonough, when he was there, speculated that Don might be hiding in. That's only a little shed, it's like a little tool shed. And then a little bit down the hill, there's another kind of big construction. The 11.2 acres of the Wells property was originally actually 2 lots. It was originally 110 and 120 Ben Hill Road. If you look on Google Maps, the numbers are weird. It labels that other construction as 110. The other lot was 120, but Google Maps says the numbers all mixed up because the entire property now is 110. I saw a live stream yesterday and one creator was saying that Don Wells bought that property for $35,000. No, he didn't. The property was handed over to him as part of an inheritance from his mother. The property was transferred ownership from Clyde Trent, who was Don's mother's friend. So when Don's mother died in 2011, and Clyde Trent held that property and then transferred it over to Don. And I'd like to see the evidence of how he paid $35,000 for it, because the deed information is that of a quit claim deed. So that was just another sidebar relating to the sheds on the property. This third shed that looks in pretty good condition, Cam from Cracking Cases filmed in that shed, and it was him that said that that shed has a basement. Now Candus is saying that none of the sheds on the property have basements. Is Cam lying? Cam said he's been down in that basement. Now, we haven't seen any filmed evidence of that, but he said he's been down there in that basement. I'm very sure that if there is a basement in that property, that was thoroughly checked by law enforcement. We know that the septic tank was checked, double checked, blah blah blah. But I really do hope that if there is a basement, that was thoroughly checked. Because if Candus is saying there was no basement, well, law enforcement told that. I only ask, and I only bring this up, not to start a can of worms, but there was a case in the UK a few years ago. Some of you will remember it if you were in the UK. There was a woman, she was a children's book writer, quite well off, and she was murdered by her partner, who just basically was with her for money. And this was a really nice property, and it had an old septic tank, like a disused septic tank on the property. And law enforcement had no idea that it was there. And they'd searched again and again and again. And it was only when a neighbour said, "You have checked the septic tank, haven't you?" And the police said, "What? What septic tank?" They didn't know it was there. They did not know it was there. Because they don't expect a septic tank to be there. There's very few properties now in the UK that have septic tanks. Most have kind of mains, plumbing or whatever. But this house had been renovated and the septic tank wasn't used anymore. But what this guy had done is put Helen and her little dog in the septic tank and then covered up the hole with a vehicle, and it was like in a garage. So the garage had been built over the area where the septic tank was, and law enforcement had just not seen the opening of this septic tank, and the opening was big enough to fit a woman and her dog down it, and there she was. I'm very sure the answer is yes. Law enforcement did check that basement, but I just want to double check, triple check. I'm going to say goodbye for today. Beautiful day, look at that view. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer.